Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
From AI-inspired insights from farmers.
If you're enjoying what we're doing here, we'd love to hear from you too.
Absolutely.
Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and definitely leave a comment telling us what you want to see more of on this deep dive.
We're always looking for new ideas, and we really value your feedback.
So what farm-related mysteries are you dying to uncover?
Right.
What questions are keeping you up at night? Let us know, and maybe we'll tackle them in a future deep dive.
Welcome to the deep dive. We take complex topics and boil them down for you.
Giving you the core insights.
Exactly. Yeah. And today we're going, well, literally underground. We're diving into the world of underground farming.
It's a really fascinating area, moving agriculture into places you wouldn't normally expect.
Right. So if you're keen to get up to speed on new farming methods, this is for you. We'll look at where this is happening, these hidden spots.
The kinds of technology they're using, which is pretty cutting edge.
And the promise, right? Year-round harvests, pesticide-free, what that means for cities.
And we've got a little something extra later on, too.
We do. A bonus tip on how you might try a mini version yourself, even if you've only got a tiny space. So let's get into it. Farming, but down.
It really shifts the whole idea of where food comes from. We're so used to seeing fields or maybe rooftop greenhouses.
Or even those vertical farms we hear about, stacking crops upwards, but this is different.
This is literally below ground. Take a Canadian company, Green Forges. Their whole concept is based on drilling these vertical tunnels, like boreholes, deep into the earth.
Wow. Okay, so not digging huge caverns, but shafts.
Exactly. And the farming happens in those shafts. Then they harvest by pulling the crops up to the surface.
That's pretty clever. It sounds incredibly space efficient.
That's the key idea. Green Forges talks about how this appeals to, say, hotel developers or apartment builders.
Because the ground level isn't taken up by the farm.
Precisely. You could build normally on the surface, while food production is happening unseen underneath. Think about dense cities where land is just so expensive.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Are others doing this too? Or is it just Green Forges?
Oh, no, it's definitely a growing trend, using different kinds of underground spaces. In the UK, there's Growing Underground.
Right, I've heard of them. They use old bomb shelters from World War II, don't they?
They do. And in France, you've got Cycloponics. They're taking over abandoned parking garages, bunkers, basically unused urban spaces underground.
So repurposing what's already there.
And there's even academic work looking into old coal mines in the UK.
Coal mines, that's ambitious. So it seems like there's a real move towards utilizing these hidden pockets beneath our cities.
It really opens up possibilities for freeing surface land, maybe for parks, housing, or even rewilding.
Okay, so we've got these surprising locations, tunnels, shelters, car parks. But how do you actually farm down there? What's the tech involved?
Well, a lot of it borrows from vertical farming, actually. The core technologies are quite similar.
So we're talking LED lighting, because obviously there's no sunlight.
Definitely LED lighting, tailored to specific plant needs. Also, closed water systems are crucial.
Meaning they recycle the water.
Exactly. Very efficient water use. And sophisticated climate control systems managing temperature, humidity, CO2 levels. Green Forges integrates all of this into their tunnel design.
And what about the growing medium? Is it soil or?
Usually not soil.
Yeah.
It's often hydroponics, where roots are in nutrient-rich water, or aeroponics, roots misted with nutrients. Sometimes container gardens, too.
So very controlled methods.
Highly controlled. Light is mostly from those specialized LEDs, though some concepts might use light tubes to pipe daylight down. It all falls under the umbrella of Controlled Environment Agriculture, or CEA.
CEA, right. And the closed loop aspect you mentioned, that sounds very sustainable. Water just keeps getting reused.
Pretty much, yeah, with careful monitoring and balancing of nutrients, of course. But the big advantage underground is the inherent stability.
How so?
Well, subsurface temperatures tend to be much more constant than above ground. Less fluctuation. Same often goes for humidity.
So the environment itself helps maintain stability, reducing the energy needed for climate control compared to, say, a greenhouse in a varied climate.
Potentially, yes. It complements the CEA tech, creating this really predictable, stable, growing environment. It's not just about growing indoors, it's hyper-optimizing everything for the plants.
And that predictability, that must lead to the year-round harvest potential.
Absolutely. That's a huge draw. Like Green Forges says, they become season agnostic, no worries about winter frosts or summer heat waves.
For anyone thinking about farming, escaping the tyranny of the seasons, that's revolutionary. Consistent production month after month.
And it's not just consistency. The level of control means you can potentially optimize nutrient uptake for better taste, maybe even higher nutritional value.
Healthier food, potentially?
That's the goal. Plus, you get the major benefit of pesticide-free harvests.
Because it's a closed environment. Pests just can't get in easily.
Exactly. You drastically reduce or even eliminate the need for pesticides and herbicides. That's a massive plus for health and the environment.
No chemical runoffs polluting waterways?
Right. And very little waste overall compared to traditional field agriculture. Water consumption can be, drastically lower, sometimes up to 90% less.
Wow, 90% less water.
Okay, so taking all this together, the hidden locations, the tech, the consistent, clean harvests, what does this mean for the future, especially in cities?
It could be a game changer for urban agriculture. Rooftop farms are great, but limited in scale. Community gardens, too. Underground farming unlocks a whole different level of potential capacity because it doesn't compete for that valuable surface space.
Exactly. Green Forges points that out. Less surface footprint. You could genuinely integrate significant food production within the urban fabric, maybe even designing new buildings with underground farms built in.
Like having a farm in the basement of an apartment block.
Potentially, yeah. Imagine that level of local food production. It boosts resilience, food security.
And you mentioned energy earlier. Is there potential for energy savings down there too, using the Earth's stable temperature?
Yes, that's geothermal synergy. The ground's natural insulation helps maintain temperature, potentially cutting down on heating and cooling costs for the farm itself.
Interesting.
And there's even talk of capturing waste heat from the farm. The LEDs still generate some heat.
Right.
And using that captured heat to maybe help warm the buildings above,
Yeah.
creating a kind of energy loop.
That sounds incredibly efficient. But what's the biggest picture here? If we move more farming underground?
Well, the really grand vision is surface regeneration. If a significant portion of agriculture could be moved below ground.
It frees up huge amounts of land on the surface.
Exactly. Land that could potentially be returned to nature, helping biodiversity, carbon sequestration. It's a long-term vision, but a powerful one.
Okay, it sounds amazing, but there must be challenges, right? It can't be that simple.
Oh, absolutely. The sources are clear on the hurdles. First off, cost.
I bet. Digging tunnels or repurposing bunkers, plus all that tech. It's capital intensive.
Very. So energy efficiency and labor efficiency are critical to make it economically viable. That might be why the initial focus seems to be wealthier urban centers.
Makes sense. What else?
Geology is a big one. You can't just dig anywhere. Soil type, rock formations, groundwater levels, they all matter. And the deeper you need to go, the more expensive it gets.
Okay, so location scouting is key.
Definitely. Then there's the energy source itself. Yes, CEA is efficient, but it still needs power, especially for the lights.
Right. For it to be truly sustainable, that power needs to be clean, ideally renewable.
That's crucial. Otherwise, you're just shifting the environmental burden.
And what about people? Will consumers want food grown underground without sun?
That's another point. Consumer education. There might be skepticism about food grown without soil or sun. So communicating the benefits, the freshness, the lack of pesticides, the sustainability is really important.
And you need skilled people to run these places, presumably. It's not traditional farming.
No, it requires a mix of skills, horticulture, yes, but also engineering, data analysis, systems management, a specialized workforce.
So significant hurdles, cost, geology, energy, perception, skills.
They are significant, but the potential benefits are also huge, which is why there's so much interest and innovation happening.
Okay, so maybe digging deep tunnels isn't practical for everyone listening, but you mentioned a bonus insight. How could someone listening, maybe in a small apartment, try something like this?
Right. The principles scale down surprisingly well. You don't need a borehole. Think smaller. A basement corner, a spare closet, even a large storage bin could be adapted.
A closet farm? Seriously.
Why not? You're creating a mini controlled environment. You'd need a small LED grow light. They're widely available now.
Okay, a grow light.
Maybe a simple hydroponic kit, or even just pots with a good growing medium if you prefer. The key is controlling the light and maybe adding a small fan for air circulation.
So a super small scale CEA setup.
Exactly. You could start really simply, try growing some herbs. Basil, mint, parsley are pretty easy. Or some lettuce, perhaps, things that grow quickly.
And you'd get fresh pesticide-free greens right there in your apartment.
That's the idea. It lets you experiment with concepts, get super fresh produce, and connect directly with how food can be grown differently. It's your own little underground garden, metaphorically speaking.
That's actually a really cool takeaway, a practical way to engage with these
It
ideas.
really brings it home. And it leads to that bigger question for everyone listening.
Yeah.
How will these innovations, whether large-scale underground farms or even small home setups, change how we think about food, where it comes from, how it's grown?
And what role could they play in building, more resilient, more sustainable food systems for the future?
Hmm. It's definitely something to think about. Where could this technology take us?
Lots to consider. Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive into the fascinating world of underground farming. We've looked at the hidden locations, the tech, the benefits, the challenges.
And hopefully spark some ideas about the future of food and maybe even your own windowsill or closet.
Absolutely. We hope this exploration has been valuable. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Hitting that like button and smash that subscribe